We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph in Maseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 32a. On the previous summit of Nachman said that we're not concerned with Zilusa de Beidina. We're not concerned with the court reversing its decision, and that will cause contempt for the court. And the Gemara said Rav Nachman relied on Ashley Rav Reve. He relied on great authorities for this ruling. And the Gemara is in the middle of bringing a Mishnah from Maseches Ksubis. The Mishnah in Maseches Ksubis is talking about Malin lekahuna al pied echad. You can use one witness in order to declare, to say that somebody is considered to be a Kohen. And there seems to be a machlokas between Rabbi Elazar and Rav Shimon ben Gamliel in this regard, but it's not clear exactly what the machlokas is. The Gemara is in the middle of suggesting maybe you'll say the machlokas is in a situation where there's an irir, where there is a protest from one individual. Rabbi Elazar says that's considered to be a protest, and for Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel savar irir trei. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says no, that's not considered to be a protest. You need two people for it to be considered a protest, and as long as you don't have two people, then Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says you can be malin lekuna al pied echad. As the Rashbam here explains, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel savar irir trei. It's only considered an irir. It's only considered a real protest if two people say this person is not a Kohen. But that's what's required to be considered a protest. But let's say you have a situation where just one person protests. Have a eid echad neman lahachshir. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, unlike Rav Elazar, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says that one aid is believed to say that this person is kosher for the kahuna. That's a suggestion of the Gemara, but the Gemara says it's not true. But Rav Yochanan said, Divrei HaKol ein irer pachos mishnayim. Everybody agrees that it's not called irer if it's less than two people. The Rashbam says, V'amar Rav Yochanan lo isparish heichakai. We don't know where exactly Rav Yochanan said this, but Rav Yochanan made this statement, and so therefore we need another explanation of what the machlokas is in the Mishnah in Ksubis. And so the Gemara says, Elo irer trei. Rather you have to say that it's only a protest if it's two people protesting. V'hacha b'may askinan. And here in this Mishnah, what's the case? It's as follows. Kagon de mechazkinan le biavua dahai de kohenhu. We have a chazaka, there's a presumption of this person's father, that this person's father indeed was a Kohen, therefore there's a presumption he's a Kohen. However, there is a rumor that went out that the person is actually a Ben Grusha or a Ben Chalutza. He's the son of a divorcee or a son of a Chalutza who married the Kohen, meaning that relationship between the Kohen and the wife was forbidden, and therefore he does not have the status of a Kohen. That is essentially just a rumor. And then based on the rumor, we lowered his status and we said that he's not a Kohen. And then one witness comes along and says that he is in fact a Kohen. And so then we lifted him back up and said that he is a Kohen. And then two people come and they say the Ben Grusha v'chalutza, that no, actually he's a Ben Grusha v'chalutza, he's actually disqualified as a Kohen. And then we lowered him. And then another Eid Echad came. Now this is the second Eid Echad. You can put them together. So now you have a second Eid Echad that comes, second one witness that comes, V'yamar the Kohenu, and he says that he is a Kohen. And so the question now here is, are we going to lift him up once again to be a Kohen? Udekuli alma mitzdarfen edus. And according to this interpretation, everybody agrees in this Mishnah that you can join together the testimony of that first Eid Echad and now the second Eid Echad. That's not an issue. You do have two witnesses in order to say he's a Kohen. V'hacha b'meichash lezilusa de beidina kamiflagi. Here the whole machlokas is there a concern about causing a contempt for the court if they keep changing their ruling? And that's the machlokas Rabbi Elazar and Rav Shimon ben Gamliel. Rabbi Elazar savar kevan dachsine lo maskin. And Rabbi Elazar says once we've already lowered him and said that he's not a Kohen, we can't raise him back up again. Chayshinan lezilusa de beidina. We're afraid that this will cause contempt for the court. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel savar. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel says anon achsine. We're the ones that lowered him. Vanon maskinan le, and we'll lift him back up. Ulezilusa de beidina lo chayshinan, and we're not concerned for the contempt of the court. And so therefore, essentially, the Gemara here is suggesting that it's a machlokas tanoim on this very issue. But the Gemara continues, Maskif lo Ravashi. Ravashi asks on this explanation of the Mishnah, Ihachi, if so, if you're saying that the machlokas over here actually is whether there's a concern for Zilusa de Beidin, or Rabbi Elazar is concerned and Rav Shimon ben Gamliel is not concerned, so Ma'ir Yachad, why when you constructed the case do you say that there's just one aid that's coming at the end? You could actually have a simpler case. Afilu b'trei nami, just say that there are actually two aidim coming at the end and saying he's a Kohen. You don't have to worry about combining one Eid Echad with another Eid Echad, and you'll still have the same same machlokas. Rabbi Elazar will say that there's a concern of zilusa de beidina, and Rav Shimon ben Gamliel will say that there's no concern of zilusa de beidina, and so therefore that cannot be what's going on in this Mishnah. El Amar Rav Ashi, rather Rav Ashi says the kuli alma lo chayshin lezilusa de beidina. Actually, everybody agrees there's no concern for the contempt of the court. Even Rabbi Elazar holds there's no concern for the contempt of the courts. But the whole issue is, can you combine the eid echad? Zvahacha b'letzarif eidus kamiflagi. Here they're asking, or here they're arguing rather, about whether we can combine the eid echad from the beginning and the eid echad at the end in order to say that we have two witnesses. And the machlokas is uvepluksa dahani tanoi. The machlokas is the same machlokas we find in the following machlokas tanoim. The Tanya, as we learned in a brisa, liolam ein edusan mitzarefes at sheyiru shneim keechad. You can't combine witnesses' testimony unless they see it together. Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha Omer, Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha says, afilu bazachar zeh, even if it's one after the other, ein edusan miskayemes bebezin at sheyoidu shneim keechad. Then the Mishnah says that the edus doesn't work in the court unless they testify together. But Rabbi Nassan Omer, Rabbi Nassan says, shomin devarav shel zeh hayom, you can listen to one aid today, ulecheshayavu chaveru l'machar, shomin devarav, when his friend comes tomorrow, you can listen to him. And that's the machlokas we're focusing on over here. At the end over here, this machlokas tanoim, do the two witnesses have to testify together, or no, do we say like Rabbi Nassan, that you can hear one testimony from one witness today, and you can hear from the other one tomorrow? And the Rashbam explains, Elam or Rav Ashi, rather Rav Ashi says, the Kuli Alma, everybody agrees that we're not concerned with Zilusa de Beidina, Vahainu Ashley Ravrave de Le'el, that's the Ashley Ravrave of before, meaning to say, these are the great authorities that we are relying on. Here they're arguing whether you can combine the Edus. According to Rebbe Elazar, you can't combine the latter witness with the earlier one, since they didn't testify together. Kirabbanan, that follows the Rabbanan, the Pligiad Rabbi Nassan, who argue with Rabbi Nassan in the Brisa we're about to quote. But if they would both come and testify together, we would in fact say that the person is a Kohen, we would put him back to his original chazaka, to Muchzaglan Be'avua de Kohen, because again the case was that we had an original chazaka that his father was a Kohen, Ulezilusa lo chayshinan, and we're not concerned with the contempt of the court. Rav Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Nassan, Rav Shimon ben Gamliel holds like Rabbi Nassan, meaning to say Rav Shimon ben Gamliel holds like Rabbi Nassan, that you are allowed to combine the Eid Echad from the beginning and the Eid Echad at the end. The Hani Tanoi, again, Rabbi Nassan v'Rabbanan, the machlokas between Rabbi Elazar and Rav Shimon ben Gamliel is the same machlokas that we find between Rabbi Nassan and the Rabbanan in the Brisa. The Tanya ein edusan mitzarefes. Now the first part of the Brisa, the Rashbam says, is not really relevant to us. Ein tzarich kan b'hai machlokas Rav Yoshua ben Karcha v'Rabbanan. We don't really need over here the machlokas Rav Yoshua ben Karcha and the Rabbanan. That is a different issue. Alakachi Brisa shlema b'shili zebor. That just happens to be the full Brisa in Sanhedrin. Umishum gerora the sefer nakad reisha, because we need the end of the Brisa, we bring the beginning as well. Ad sheyiru shneim ke'echad. So the beginning case machlokas was, the first opinion says they have to both see together. As so edus, they have to see it together, the entire thing that they're talking about. For example, let's say one witness would say, I saw the loan, and the other one says that the person admitted that he owes the money. So they're testifying to the same idea, but not exactly that they saw the same thing. One saw the loan, and one saw an admission, so that this Tana holds you can't, that's not good testimony to combine. And the other one, meaning Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha, says, no, it's not true, even if they don't testify about exactly the same thing. Echad Omer b'yom rishon lava ploni min ploni, meaning one says on Sunday he borrowed money, Mana v'echad Omer b'yom sheni reisiv, I saw on Monday, gam ani shalava mimenu, I saw on Monday he borrowed, to mikol makom amana kamasadi. They're both essentially saying the same thing, that he owes a mon. It's just not exactly at the same time. The Tanakama savar amana to kamasad hai lo kamasad hai. The Tanakama says that you can't accept such testimony because they're testifying about different money. V'havalei legabe mana chatzi edus v'tavai mafar shapir b'Sanhedrin mikra misvar. The reason of this whole machlokas here between the Rabban and Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha, that's all explained in Sanhedrin. Again, not relevant to here. But ein edus and miskayemis, the part that is relevant is this machlokas. Do we say that they have to testify at the same time? L'skabel bebezin, meaning when they're actually testifying in court, v'afilu rosh shneim ka'echad, even if they both saw it together, ad sheyoidu shneim ka'echad b'fnei bezin. But according to the Tanakama, the Rabbanan, they both have to testify in court together. Upluksa achrisi v'lav Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha kamar, this is not Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha anymore. V'Rabbi Elazar, Rav Shimon Gamliel, bepluksa de Rav Nachman, de Rav Nassan, v'Rabbanan kamiflagi. The machlokas Rabbi Elazar, Rav Shimon Gamliel is the machlokas Rabbi Nassan and the Rabbanan. Again, this is the Rabbanan talking now. Ein edus and miskayemis. This is not a continuation of Rabbi Yoshua ben Karcha's words. This is a new machlokas. And Rabbi Nassan Omer v'tamayim v'farashasam shapar mikra misvar, in terms of what exactly the machlokas is. Do they have to testify testify at the same time in the court. That is explained again over there. It's learned out from Sukkim and learned out from Svara, learned out from logic. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Ahud Amar L'Chavri, there was a person who said to his friend, my boy is Bahayara, what are you doing in this land? Amar Lei said back to him, Inoch Zavint, I bought it from you, V'hashtara, and this is the shtar, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Beis, Amud Beis.